All right, welcome back to another episode of the Chirp Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 6, and as you guys can tell, things are a little different here in the studio today. We're missing our co-host, Donnie Margettie. Donnie is out on a trip to Dallas doing some hockey out there, so we brought along a completely different crew today. So instead of me giving introductions, I'm going to let them speak a little bit. We got Dan Lavergne. Most of you guys who watch the podcast already, I'm sure already know who that guy is, knows the name Dan Lavergne. Who doesn't know Dan Lavergne? We got Drew Rodgers, also another staple in the Odessa youth hockey or Odessa hockey area. So, and then my family, Jordan Voyles, my brother, if you can't already tell. So I know the light behind him is beaming off of his patchy red beard, and everyone can tell that he is probably related to me. Yeah. So
I've been trying to grow it for 2 years. So it's coming in hot.
So I'll just I'll go one by one. But again, we want to say we're missing Donnie today, but I think it's good for all of us to get a. Well, I was going to say I think it's good we're all getting a break from him. So. Yeah, a little change.
You can't chirp him too bad, Johnny. He'll get us back. So.
Oh, he will. But that's all right. That's all right. He'll listen to this on his way back to Dallas or whenever we put this out, and I'm sure he'll be fired up for the next one. So, absolutely. But Dan, let's start with you, man. Like I said, a lot of people know who you are in this area, and
he's
but
a legend.
For the ones who don't know, like, give us a little story. How'd you end up here? You know, your journey through hockey and what led you here, and your jobs and all that good stuff.
Absolutely, Johnny. I appreciate you having me on the show today. Yeah, I've been here a long time, Johnny. It's going on 24 years. But I grew up in the Northeast in a little town called Woonsocket, Rhode Island. Played hockey, started skating probably at 2.5 years old. I think my grandfather, when I was born, he put some little blades on the bottom of my shoes and showed my mom and said, "Your son's going to be a hockey player." So that's kind of where it all started. Grew up in the Northeast, played youth hockey in Rhode Island, Massachusetts. For those who don't know, the states are very small up there. So Rhode Island, Massachusetts is basically like driving from Midland to Odessa, and you're in a different state.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
Pretty cool thing. But played hockey, for the Woonsocket North Stars Youth Hockey Association, pretty much my whole career. Ended up at Mount St. Charles Academy, which is an amazing high school. They've made a movie on us called Ice Kings, which anybody hasn't seen that movie, you got to check it out.
Yeah, it's cool.
Pretty,
really?
It's pretty cool movie.
I didn't know that.
I played for the legendary high school coach Bill Belisle, who was recently, probably 2 or 3 years ago, was inducted into the USA Hockey Hall of Fame.
Wow. Tell him the record. Talk about the record at the high school.
Yeah, it's incredible. So we went 26 years in a row winning the state championship from 1976 to 2003, winning the state high school championship there in Rhode Island, which is a record that it's probably a world record. I'm not sure.
Well, there's only two or three teams, right? So it's probably not. 10,000 people maybe in the state. I don't know.
You got me there, dude.
That was a nice setup. Midland, Odessa.
But no, it was unbelievable. High school career, which brought me into college. I ended up at Colby College, which was a Division II school. Played for, believe it or not, I played for Jim Tortorella, who's the brother of John Tortorella, who coaches in the NHL.
That's awesome.
And had a great career there. All-American. We won a championship my senior year. And then my coach Tortorella actually knew Joe Clark. They played together in college.
Wow. Okay, we're on about tap 100, Danny. So you got to lay off on the hand.
Sorry, Johnny.
I'm going to put a counter on the video. Ding, ding,
yeah.
ding, ding.
Yeah. What was Torts like back then? Because you always hear stories about his brother, how he is now, how hard he is. Yeah. I don't know if he's similar.
So Jim was very similar to John. Not a player's coach, right? So you could score 6 goals and he'd be like, "Well, what happened? Why didn't you get 7?" So it was a tough coach to play for. He expected, perfection was his motto was perfection is our goal, excellence will be tolerated, right? So he expected it every game. And like I said, he was a tough guy to impress, but his X's and O's were pretty spot on, and obviously led us to a championship my senior year.
Wow, that's cool.
So it was pretty cool college career. And then, like I said, Coach Torts knew Joe from his college days, and they kind of talked. And Nicky Lamia was my college roommate all 4 years and college line mate all 4 years, and they kind of talked about us to Joe, and he said, "Man, I want to give these guys a shot." And Nick and I had like, Odessa, Texas, where's that? Like we had.
Yeah, you had to have been thinking.
Yeah,
like,
I pulled out back then we had to pull out an actual map, right? You had to open it up. Like, hey, where's Odessa?
The Atlas.
The Atlas, yeah. So it kind of just talked, and we signed our first little pro contract, and here we are. I flew into St. Louis. We trained all summer together. I flew into St. Louis, and then we drove down to Odessa. And I remember our first night in Odessa. We pulled in about 11 p.m. We pulled in on off of I-20. We pulled in on Grandview at like 7-Eleven on Grandview and like I-20. And I was looking around, going, "Man, Nicky, this isn't St. Louis. This isn't Rhode Island. Like, where are we?" Right?
A couple tumbleweeds.
Yeah, a few tumbleweeds. It was just kind of a strange sights at that time, but. No, I remember, our first training camp was just awesome. Nicky and I were just so happy to be here, and, we just had a blast, and, it was the best time of my life playing in Odessa.
And recently found out that Danny was the first Odessa Jackalope to score a hat trick.
Whoa, that's a cool
Did you guys
stat.
know that?
No, I didn't know
that. A
that.
little closer to the mic there,
Sorry.
Drew. You might have to drop that chair down a little bit, too.
That's probably low, too.
Oh, no. There we go.
You mentioned Nick Lamia. He had some sick mitts, huh?
Oh,
yeah, he's a good player.
The kid could snipe, man. He was my right-hand man, and, just always knew where he was. And
yeah.
He worked so hard to get open, and if you put it on his tape, he was going to bury it. So it was definitely fun to play with him over the years.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, but I found that out just the other day. First hat trick in Jackalope's history.
Johnny saw my little trophy. It's a little rabbit with antlers that's hanging in my house.
He made it himself, and he said the Jacks gave it to him.
super glued.
Yeah, I was like, "Where did you get that little bunny from?" And I think he got it from the dollar store, and he stuck it on a piece of wood and put his little Dan Lavergne hat trick. First.
So Odessa wasn't the only place you played out here, right? Though.
Well, no, I played. Yeah, I played Odessa my first year and a half.
Yeah.
Had a really good first year, and then they gave me a nice size raise, and then I came back the second year, and obviously didn't have quite the production that they were expecting, and Joe Clark called me into his office one day, and he's like, we're just thinking about trading you, and is there anywhere you'd maybe go to play? And I'm like, you know what? Jeff Triano was coaching Abilene, and Margot was there, and I'm like, man, I don't really want to get traded, Joe, but. If you're going to trade me somewhere, I guess trade me to Abilene. So I went home and had lunch, and about an hour later, I got a phone call from Jeff Triano saying, "Hey, I just traded for you. Welcome to the team."
Had to have been like a rivalry back then, though. Abilene and Odessa?
Absolutely.
Was that weird going to a team that was?
It was very strange, obviously, and Abilene had a couple guys that I knew. We had Eric Nowak, who I had played with in high school.
Yeah.
We had, Donnie was there, and then Coach Tree, and I knew a lot of the guys from playing against him the year before. But yeah, it was pretty weird because the guy they traded me for, I showed up, and we played Odessa like 2 nights later. And I think I scored 2 goals against him, and Billy Pye was losing it on Joe Clark. Like, you just traded this guy, and now he scored 2 goals. And the guy they traded me for didn't even show up. Like, so it was like they got me for free. It was like a free deal. So it was pretty funny how it all went down.
How was it playing with Margot?
Oh man, Margot. So I mean, he just introduced me into pro hockey. So Margot wasn't here for training camp because I think he was in Nashville or Vegas or somewhere, and. So we got through camp, and
I bet he introduced you into a lot of new things, Dan.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I remember Joe calling us over and saying, "I got this guy, Donnie Margettie. He's coming in. He'll be here. He's driving in. He'll be here." He shows up a couple. He's got the earrings on, the long blonde hair. It's all, he's all done up, GQ'd up, and I'm like, "Who is this guy?" Right? I mean. But now Donnie, man, we had some good times together. The stories that I'll tell you one story real quick. But so we're playing. Back then we play 3 games in 3 nights, or sometimes even 4 in 4 nights, and it'd be like a Friday night, and we'd play a game, and then Margot, we'd all go back to our our condos there that we lived in, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. It's Margot. He's like, "Hey, you ready to go out tonight?" I'm like, Donnie, we got 2 more games like tomorrow and the next day. He goes, "Kid, this isn't college anymore. You don't have a 6 a.m. alarm clock to wake you up anymore." He said, "We're going out. This is how we do things in pro." So I remember one night he picked me up in his Eagle Talon. I know he's talked about it before, but it was a sweet ride. It was a sweet ride back in the day, right?
We've all ridden in that.
Yeah.
And we'd go to Cheers. Cheers was kind of the hangout. Donnie and I, we'd drink Tequila Rose and lots of beers, and we'd get out there on the dance floor and tear it up, and we'd just have a good old time. But anyway, one night we're over there and we're playing pool. It's like 12 at night. We're starting to feel pretty good. Like I said, we got a game the next night, and we're playing pool, and I look up, and it's Joe Clark.
Oh no!
And Margot, I'm like, Margot, we in trouble? He goes, oh, no, kid, don't want to take care of this. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. So Joe walks over. He's like, hey, boys, what are you doing? And Margot goes, hey, Joe, you got the winner? You got the winner, Joe? Anyway, it was pretty funny. Margot's just, man, we have some crazy stories over the years, and just such a great friendship we've had. And like I said, we've both been here for 24 years now, so it's just pretty cool, pretty special.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I want to get back to some stories, but real quickly. Well, actually, you brought up the Eagle Talon. I'm pretty sure it was the same car, but one time we were leaving the rink, and this was like, I don't know, this had to have been like a good 12, 11 years ago maybe. Like this was a long time ago. And I was young, and I just remember, I don't even know who I was with, but we were leaving the mall rink. Mm-hmm. And that intersection right there when you get out on JBS, and like you can go across the street to like Walmart and Sam's and all that light right there. I see this black car, because it was a black car, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I see this black car, and then you can see like a silhouette at night sometimes. I just saw the crazy hair and like a silhouette looking down, JBS Parkway, and I see this little guy, and he's raising his hands, and he's just walking around, and I look at his car, and his tire is like on the other side of the street. And he's just like, and I was like, so we pulled over, and we were like, what happened? He's like, I just took a sharp turn, that's it.
His tire flew off the car?
His tire's gone.
It's gone.
Oh my goodness.
I think that thing had 400,000 miles when he finally got rid of it, so it had been through a lot.
It was a cool car though. Man.
Lasted a while. But anyway, okay, let's go over to Drew Rodgers. So same kind of question to you. Like, I mean, I know you're from here, like me and Jordan, but you've gone off and done some things, so let's hear it.
Yeah, so I grew up here, born and raised. I went to Permian. I was coached by Dan growing up, kind of into junior high, into high school. We played youth hockey all through the organization, the Jacks organization, forever. My intro is pretty short, actually.
Wow.
Left here. I had one junior tryout, USHL. Got cut at the main camp, and then said, you know what, I'm just going to go on to school. So I ended up playing at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, and played on the Division II team. When I was there were 3 teams, and Division I team's great. It's in the ACHA. I know you were chirping the ACHA last week. But.
Some teams. I know there's some good teams. Liberty's good teams.
Yeah, no, it was a great place to play. It's club hockey, and if you're going to play club hockey, it's got to be one of the top 5 programs in the country, honestly. So
I've only heard good things, and I saw some of those videos. Like they pack it. Well, I'm sure before COVID or whatever. I don't know what their situation is now, but it looked unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great. I've made some friendships there. A couple of my roommates, 2-3 of my roommates, and we're still friends. We'll be friends for, the rest of our life. Our coach actually. When he finished coaching Division II, he went and started coaching the women's D1 team, and they've won 3 national championships in a row. So for ACHA Division I women, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just, I have so many great memories from playing up there, and just meeting so many good people. And finished there, came back home, and we've been reffing. I ref with Jordan a lot, and kind of dabbling in coaching a little bit now, and just enjoy playing the game still. Love hockey, grew up loving hockey, and so. And
you said you were coached by Dan, and
you
and Jordan both were coached by Dan, so I know you guys probably have some stories about that. Dan we've talked about on the show before that Dan's a very passionate guy. I just want to know, between both of you, how many times have you seen Dan cry?
Ooh.
I don't know. Those are the locker room sweet moments that you remember forever. And there's been a few times though. I can for sure say that.
About 3 or 4.
I'm the same
I think
way.
Everyone needs a coach like that though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just one
sure.
that you're like, man, the guy loves the game so much.
Yeah.
And I know you're sitting right here and I'm talking about you, but like just the guy loves the game so much. It's like just a switch, and it's like passion.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I don't think I've ever had a coach quite like that. And I kind of want to get into like some of the coaches we had, because I've had some absolute beauties, and I've had some guys that like I just absolutely hate. But I mean, you guys were both coached by Dan. You won a championship with Dan, so that was a big year for you guys. Dan's got 2 championships under his
Two
belt
ships, yeah.
as a
2
coach.
ships,
We didn't get the news coverage that the
social media wasn't that big
yeah.
back then, Drew. You're kind of old. You're dating
We're
yourself.
old guys.
Danny
yeah.
also didn't have a son on that team either.
Oh, that's true. Half of us didn't have cell phones. Right
He's
now,
like,
so-
this one's going down in history. They're like, didn't you win a championship back in the day? He's like, I don't remember. This is the one that matters right there.
Man, Johnny, you're not my assistant coach next year. I'm picking a new coach.
Yeah.
Drew, you want to be the assistant or what?
Hey, I got to reap the benefits of this one, so that's all good, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But that was a good time for you guys back in the day winning that championship.
We, there's not a lot of players from here, right? So you got to kind of pull guys from San Angelo, and you got to pull guys from. I remember we had kids from Andrews, and we had kids. We had a kid from Lubbock that would come down, and I mean, we just kind of put ourselves together and made a team, and man, we ended up gelling. And how many guys? We had probably 14 kids, maybe not even that many.
Yeah, it was just 14 kids. We only had one goalie. I mean, it was
The year we won,
and an ice time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
these guys get to skate 3-4 times a week now, and we skated like once, maybe
Yeah.
twice, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, for what you guys did that year was just pretty special.
Yeah, the league was. And the game's different, right? I think we'll probably talk about that, but the game's changed so much, even
Definitely.
since you played, and then when I played, and even now what it is now, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, it was incredible. So many memories from that championship run. We had no business probably winning that thing, and we just kind of came together and made it happen. It was
A lot of heart on that team for
Yeah.
sure.
Special.
Well, we had a group text going yesterday, and there was a lot of battles back and forth on who is the better team between my class of kids, yours, and Danny kind of threw like the top 4 guys on each team and was like, okay, who is the most skill, who is the most heart, whatever. So it was a fun conversation, and that's something we actually haven't done a lot of on this show, is talk about the we've talked about youth hockey, but it's like current, we haven't really gone back. And I feel like we had some really good players here. Like a lot of us went and played junior hockey, and I was saying this the other day, is no matter what level you played at, if you played, pro, minor pro hockey, junior A, junior B, whatever, I feel like if you get to go and play hockey for 4 years, 2 years or whatever, go off after youth hockey. But there were kids that I played with that they would come to camp and then they get cut and they didn't play that year. They went back home and they just didn't find a team. So I feel like if you got on a team and you got to play college hockey or junior hockey at any level, that's a success.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was huge. But kind of going back, you playing college, a lot of kids don't get to do that around here.
Yeah.
That's huge. Going and doing a junior tryout in the USHL, getting that experience, going to play at Liberty University, that's huge.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids don't get to do that. And so, but yeah, we went back and forth from the kids here, and we had some good players, and so we had a little debate on which team was better. And of course, I said my team, there was no question, we had the most skill.
Of course, right.
A little biased.
We had some good players, but okay. So Jordan, I know you have a funny story with Danny, and Danny pretty much ruined your hockey career. But let's hear your story. But you know what? It ended one, but it started another, right?
Yeah,
so there was a reason for it. So get into that. What's going on?
Yeah, so, we started skating, me and you started skating at a really young age, I was kind of in your shadow for a little bit, watching you play hockey. And
When did you leave it?
jeez, wow. Brothers, yeah, what are you going to do?
Jordy's on iTunes now, guys. So he's going to be bigger than you soon, Johnny.
I'm on iTunes too.
Oh, okay.
This is on iTunes right now.
Okay.
We're both on iTunes. I just watched you play growing up, and it was definitely something that I loved. And I think Margot invited me to learn to skate, and I started, skating, learning how to skate with a puck. And of course, we always skated when we were little. But I learned to play hockey. It was fun. And then my last year, Dan was my coach, and that's kind of where it all kind of came crashing down for my career. But
It sounds
no, I'm just joking.
We're setting this up to sound really bad.
No, it was we were playing against the Dallas Oilers, I believe.
Yep.
And first off, when I played with Coach Orozco, I was always first line, and then Salsa came on the team. Aaron Torres came on the team, which are fabulous players. I think we had Jacob Nunez that year.
Yeah, we did. And Nicky McCallum.
Salsa, that's a good nickname.
Yeah, Salsa. Shout out to Salsa if you're watching this, San Antonio. Good buddy of mine. Phenomenal players, great skill. And I remember when we got Jacob Nunez, Danny called me into the office and was like, Jordy, you're going to third line.
The office. What office are we talking about here?
And I was like, okay, Dan. But
It's just second line, Jordy.
second line. But no, that game. So
Only had 2 lines. So.
Definitely. It was a game changer for me. I remember Dan called us to the bench and was like, and I believe they ended up winning the national championship that year. The Dallas Oilers. They were huge players.
Some big boys.
And Dan was like, we need y'all to block shots. For some reason, we were always on the penalty kill.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage, though, right, Jordy?
It does.
I mean, blocking shots it's not easy.
I was a little bit older there.
Flamingo.
I believe I was 18 that year, and
And I was at this game.
Yeah.
Johnson
I
was
was
at the
playing
game.
in Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
so you came to watch.
then I was like, "Where are you guys?" They're like, "Dallas." I'm like, "Well, I'm coming to watch." So I asked my coach. I'm like, "Hey, can I get a ride over to this other rink?" And I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it happen.
And so I remember this like 6'1" defenseman came up for a windup, and I just went straight at him. And 2 thoughts went through my head: flamingo like Jonathan, or just stand there.
Yeah.
So I just stood there, and I remember, man, that was the worst pain I've ever felt. And I tried to put weight on it, and I was like, "There's no way." And I was like, "Danny," I went back to the bench. I was like, "Coach Danny," I was like, "I can't skate." He's like, "I'll go out for another shift." So I went out
I'm
for
like,
another
the
shift.
knee's a long way from the heart. Jordy, get out there. Go block another one for me.
Yeah, but anyway, long story short, after the game, it was, and this is kind of my Dan story moment when I realized what kind of coach he was. And I'm starting to realize, I know you said that I have a different career now, and, I do music. I work at a church full time, and I've been so blessed to be able to do that. But I've realized, of course, everyone wants to go play professional hockey, right? Like that's the goal. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to realize, hockey really helps you through life, in general, and just makes you a better person. And so I remember after that hockey game, I was in the locker room, and my knee was like a grapefruit.
Just
it
mangled.
was huge.
Just absolutely mangled
It
knee.
was huge. And I remember some of the players too were like, "Jordy, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I think I'll be all right," but I couldn't put any weight on it. But anyway, Dan came in, and Dan was a little emotional. He was kind of trying to pump us up, and he looked at me. He's like, "Jordy, can you play the next game?" And I was like, "Dan, I can't even walk. I can't even walk." And he's like, "Suit up. You're playing next game." So I suited up with broken patella, and that was kind of my Dan story. But you know what? I know we joke and make fun, but Dan literally, in the situation I'm at now where I have to lead other people, Dan showed me a lot of going, this is how you lead people. You lead people with heart and dedication and hard work. Even though, you have a bad knee or you broke something, you still have to fight through adversity and fight through pain. And that showed me a lot. And I take that with me now and how I lead other people. And so I don't think you're ever going to realize how big of an impact you had on my life.
Yeah.
I know we joke about Jordan broke his knee and stuff, but that showed me a lot in the life I'm living now. So
That's so awesome, Jordy. And that's why I coach, right? And that's why that's why most people coach, right? I mean, trust me, if you're a coach, you're competitive and you want to win hockey games, you want to win sports, right? But it's not about winning.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's about life lessons, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, teaching you guys how to have discipline and be a good teammate, and to never give up, and to just to have a good attitude and a good work ethic, and things that are going to help you later in life become good husbands and good fathers, and good have good careers and take care of your families. Like those are the things that's the reason why I coach, right?
Yeah.
And to see the three of you guys and all the guys that I've coached throughout the years, to see you guys all over Facebook with your families and your kids and your wives and your it's just it's priceless, really. That's the reason why I do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was actually at that game.
Yeah.
I was perfectly on the blue line where that guy, and I remember seeing it. The guy was just winding up, and Jordan comes in and does one of these, like you're supposed to, and just right on the knee. And I think I had one of my buddies there who I played with, and we were just like, oh, and it was a bomb.
Yeah,
it was a bomb.
It was amazing courage, but if I had known he had 1985 shin pads, I probably would have not had him do the flamingo. But,
just newspapers on his.
Yeah.
Well, we have a story.
About that too.
So Jordan had I don't even remember what happened. I had some shin guards, like the old Jofas, like
Jofas.
the legit ones.
I still wear them to this
They
day.
were old.
Pro.
And then Jordan got a new pair, or I bought a pair and gave them to Jordan. And then like when we saw each other at like Christmas or whatever, when I came home one time, I was like, hey, like, give me these back. Or I might have taken them from you that trip when we were both in Dallas. And I'm like, hey, I need these shin guards more than you.
Word.
I should have just let Jordan keep the shin guards.
No one knows that story, but me and Jonathan.
It's good to know that you guys shared gear too.
Well,
When Micah and I were growing up, my younger brother Micah, we would share, because he would be on the ice the session right before ours, and we would share a helmet.
Yeah.
So and then I would get the sweaty helmet after. But that's funny that you guys did that too. It's good.
What'd you guys do when you went to games?
Well, I think we got to a point where we had to buy 2 helmets. But when we were really young playing house league, it was we switched out helmets.
Funny story though. No one knows this either. But after that game that happened, Joey Lee, Jordan Lee's dad, was like, Jordan, I'm taking you to the hospital. But our whole team was going to go watch Jonathan play that night in Grapevine.
Yeah.
So I had a choice to go to the hospital, go to Grapevine. I chose to go to Grapevine. So I was limping into Grapevine watching Jonathan play, and it was great because he fought that night, and it was a good time for
What
him
a
too.
shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, shocker.
I dropped the gloves.
Did he get knocked out again or what?
He didn't. It was actually a good fight. It was a really good fight, and I was limping, and I was like, yeah.
I probably jumped a kid. I jumped a lot of guys. I was that guy.
Yeah.
So
Couldn't score, so he figured he'd take a couple guys out. Right?
you know, one of the things Donnie told me when I went to go play junior was like, whatever you do,
boy.
just get on the score sheet.
100%.
And I'm like,
100%.
okay. And I had some years where one of my junior, I think it was my 3rd year, I scored 8 games straight. And the kids thought I thought the kids on my team, or the guys on my team, I say kids, the guys on my team thought I was like a rock star. I'm like, 8 goals in 8 games? I'm like, this
Johnny
is
thought
going
he was
to
getting
be
a call up. He
Yeah.
thought he was getting a call up.
I'm
Coach,
like,
did they give me a call
This
or
is
what?
going to be easy. And that was the year. So speaking of coaches, I had Mike Gershon. Shout out to Mike Gershon if he's watching this. Man, we hated that guy. Like he was that coach that just like, he was one of my favorite coaches.
Yeah.
But it was because of like, he was honest all the time. Like I would come to the rink and he might have made up the team name. I don't know. He would name a team and he'd be like, before games, this team's calling for you, Johnny. They want you really bad. So I don't know,
Wow.
and he would always tell me that this team was calling for me. And then I think I sat out of the 3.5 years or 4 years I played junior, like I sat twice, and he was I think he was the first one that sat me. And like, we were like some of the top guys on the team. Like we were like top 5 in scoring, and he sat me and Matthew Uvodich, and Matthew played. Great player.
He's a good player.
Played in the North American Hockey League. Like he was sick. And he sat both of us, and like just to prove a point, like that kind of stuff. And like, so we hated him as like a group, but it made us like kind of come together a little bit more. But I actually ended up playing better. That was probably my best year because I just wanted to prove him, prove him wrong. And I know he did it on purpose. And so for that, I like, I ended up liking him. But in the middle of the heat of things, like, you're just like, this guy's brutal. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, but it pushed more out of me for
100%.
sure.
Those are things that coaches do, Johnny, to challenge you, right? That's what we talk about adversity. You could have handled that one of 2 ways, and you handled it in a good way, right?
I feel like that kind of coaching is we've really transitioned, right, into like some different. But I feel like now the coaches are way more player style coaches. You guys know what I mean when I say that, right? A player's coach. But back then,
what do you mean?
I just mean, just kidding. No, I don't actually. But yeah, player's coach, right? So the old school mentality of like, you think of Tortorella, and then you think of like, what's the guy in Calgary that they let go?
Sutter. Oh no.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But
Sutter's in Calgary now, right?
Yeah. But he's like one of the old school guys too. But you hear about they're like kind of on their way out the door. It seems like to me, and I don't know if that's.
I don't like it. I don't like that it's phasing out. I like that style of coaching.
Yeah.
Like you hear about the stories, like when Avery talked about Babcock.
Yeah.
Asking him if he like slashed his tires just to like get in his head, like
mind
stuff
games.
like that. Like, I love it.
I think it depends on the player, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think you got your old school coaches, your new school coaches, but I mean, I think the best coaches like figure out what motivates each player, right?
Yeah.
Some kids need to be screamed at, and other kids need to kind of be coddled a little bit more, right? And it's just, I think the best coaches just find a way to motivate all their players.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say is like, being with Dan, I saw him like that to me is what makes a great coach, because I've seen him, adapt each player differently.
Yeah.
You know, he might tell me something, or he might, light a fire under this other player, and it's the way you coach each player. But Dan, like, you coached all of us. Do you feel like the pendulum has, swung to the whole other side of where it's just like player coaches, kind of like what Drew said, where
Obviously it's changing, right? The kids are a little bit different nowadays. I think the old school mentality is a lot harder to do on the newer style children. It's just I don't know if it's a societal thing or a cultural change, but obviously we coddle our kids a little bit more nowadays. I mean, we're all, I see it every day. Like we bubble wrap our kids a little bit. I try to coach and teach my kids is life isn't fair, right? And the sooner you accept that, the better off you're going to be. Right. Life's not fair, and I think there's a lot. We do, and I'm guilty, and I know a lot of my friends are like we shelter our kids from disappointment, and. I know with the social media and everything, things have changed a lot. So you got to be a little bit more careful because you can literally throw someone under the bus and it's on for the world to see. And I get that part, but like life's tough, right? And I think it's important to let your kids fail and let them fight through the adversity so that next time they handle that situation better or they're mentally prepared for it, right? So I think that's what I've tried to teach my kids every year, especially with older kids when I coach, like, hey, look, life's not fair. You got to accept that, right? And then you're gonna be successful down the road if you can understand that.
But we've talked a lot about this, like just on how you're raised and like how your parents, giving you nice things right out the gate, right?
Yeah.
Like giving you everything, and then it's like there's nowhere to go up from that. You know what I mean? Like you're given whether your parents have money or not, but like just like being born with a silver spoon in your mouth, like where do you go? You know what I mean? Like where's the fight in your young adult life?
Yeah.
And we talked about like the cars we had when we were younger. Like we have stories like, we laugh all the time because like because we skated all the time, right?
Yep.
And so there was a Chick-fil-A in the mall, and we would literally buy one cup, like one Coke at the beginning of the week, and we would share it, and we would keep that cup all week and just like grab someone else's drink and shake it up a little bit so it looked like we had some, and go back and get a free. And we had free refills all week, and that's how we drank. You know what I mean? Through the week.
Absolutely.
And it's like those things you won't forget. And that made us, I think, a lot more hungry for success in our adult lives. And I think our parents would have given us a lot more if they had it. Like we weren't like the wealthiest family by any means. I mean, not at all. But I do think that they definitely showed us the value of a dollar, and how to work for your success and work for your money. And I do think that, again, someone could say like, you don't have kids, you don't know what you're talking about. But I definitely see a lot of that in this era, is that there is no disappointment. Like I know, like in all those silver medals, Danny, you know what I mean? I know what disappointment feels like in, getting cut from teams and thinking I was going to, even play for the Jacks the one year. And then right before we went to Minnesota, call me into the office the day we're leaving and say, hey, sorry, and I'm like, okay, well, do I have anywhere to go? And like those things shape you.
100%.
And
those life lessons are why y'all are successful now, right? I mean, those are things that you grinded out throughout your lives, and I think it's amazing to watch where you guys have come. You're all successful in your careers. I mean, Johnny, like you said, you struggled as a family financially growing up, and to see what you've done to start businesses, and you're multiple businesses, entrepreneur, like doing so well, like. Those life lessons molded you into the person you are today, and it's really fun to watch, especially someone that knew you as a young kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think what you said too. Like I think we share something at this table. All of us share something, and I'm by no means judging anyone today. But when you have to work through that, or you have to work for something that you love, it creates a fire in you. And so I think that's again to piggyback off of what Danny said. We are successful because we learn what it takes to get what you want.
Yeah, and you can translate that into your job, you're being a husband, being a father, like just right down the road. So life lessons in playing sports. I think that's I would always encourage kids nowadays to be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, in sports, because you learn so much. Did you guys start playing roller hockey though? Because you talked about the old exhibit building, right? That was a roller hockey
Yeah,
That's how we started playing.
It was a roller hockey rink.
Yeah.
In the old Midland County Exhibit Building, and Donnie and I had our first camp there. It was crazy. I'll never forget. So another quick story. Like Donnie and I signed up all these kids. We had probably had maybe 60, 70 kids, and we brought Chich down from Canada, and Craig Stephenson helped out, and Shane LeBreton helped out a little bit. So we had a great little crew. But the funny part was the camp was from 8 to 5. It was 8 to 12, and then CC's Pizza would come in and deliver pizza for lunch.
CC's Pizza.
And then from 1 to 5. And this camp, we had like 4 different stations. It was like inside work, outside work, station. Well, we're 22, 23 years old, right? So we're going to the bars every night till like 2 in the morning, right? Just buckled out of our mind, right? 6 hours later, the alarm's going off. 5 hours later, the alarm's going off, right? And we're having to drive over to Midland to get to the county exhibit building. And it's July, right? So it's 105, 110 degrees all day. So we're just sweating the booze out all day, right?
That explains why you stop on your heel, though, if you're roller hockey.
Yeah, it's true. I do. I got to throw them back real quick. So,
You never learned how to stop, Drew.
But anyway, we did that all week long, man. It was just bar, and I don't even know how we made it through the week. But it's a good thing we were young. If I did that now, I'd be dead. I'd be dead by Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we didn't do the whole roller hockey thing. I wish that would have been fun, but yeah.
Well, it's hard to get ice to freeze out here in the summer.
Me and Jonathan were shooting tennis balls into trash cans outside. That's how we started playing.
Yeah.
Literally.
Is that where you learned how to block shots? Or what?
Yeah. Wish it would have been a tennis ball, huh?
It didn't feel that soft, I'll tell you that much.
He was used to blocking tennis balls, and he's like, I got this.
No problem.
It was
Literally, if you look at the X-ray, though, like you
I
see
know, I
his
remember.
like kneecap is in half.
I felt terrible.
Wow.
I looked at
3
that
kneecaps.
and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made you play, Jordy. But Jordy was skating around on one leg like on a unicycle. He was just kind of just pushing on one leg. Lots of courage, Jordy, but man, that was a tough time.
Well, Danny talks about courage and being a long way from the heart, but if you touch Danny and drop in, he yard sells every time. He comes out with a neck guard. I freaking hit his I hit his thumb one time, and he freaking gloves went off everywhere, and he sends me he actually got me, though. He texted me, and he's like, it's broke. I'm going to the hospital. And I'm like, oh, my God, I just broke Danny's thumb. And he's like, I'm just kidding.
That's hilarious.
I'm getting old now, fellas. You guys can finally outskate me now after 20 years of trying to chase me around. I'm chasing you guys now. So maybe not Drew. He's put on a few LBs. But
Yes, certainly.
You still got hands, though, Dan. Like, you still got...
Well, I have to go around the same guy 4 times because he keeps catching up to me. So
Danny doesn't come out anymore, though. It's kind of sad. All these guys that
sad.
just live in here, and you guys don't come out.
yeah.
Wednesday nights have been good.
Yeah.
Our groups have been really good on Wednesday night. We skate, and it's been fun.
When I grew up, man, the game has changed so much, right? So
Closer.
so when I was playing, when I was growing up, like, you could pretty much do whatever you wanted with your stick. Like it literally, like you could literally grab onto a guy and ride him all the way down into the corner, and there was no penalty, right? I mean,
That's
you could
crazy.
Yeah, you could grab guys.
Lay
with
the
your arm.
lumber. That's
Yeah.
where the saying came from, right? It's
100%.
Wood sticks and
Right. It's it made it a lot harder for skilled guys like myself, right? Because there was a lot more clutching and grabbing, and it made it easier for some of the bigger guys to make teams, right? So maybe more enforcers, tougher guys that maybe didn't have quite the skill, but their jobs were so necessary to to protect little guys and to clutch and grab and make it difficult for guys like me. So, it's. Adam Doyle always says I grew up in the wrong era, right? He's like, because I was a small, skilled guy, and I would kill to be able to play in the game right now the way it's played now, right? With all speed and skill, and nobody can touch you unless they can catch you. And but to see where the game has come, obviously it transitioned a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how maybe it was in your era, back 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was. I would even say the word hybrid is probably a pretty good, word picture, because we could still. It wasn't tackling and clutching and grabbing and full on wrestling like it was when Dan played, but you could do your fair share of stick work still. I mean, you could get the old can opener. Guys talk about the can opener move, and I mean there was still quite a bit of tough play, but the older I got, it did transition. The rules have changed, right? And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing the way that the game is changing. I don't like some of the stuff that they're trying to push out of the game, but I would say it's definitely was a pretty good transition from like where we're at now. Maybe that's kind of would have been a pretty sweet spot to stay at when I was playing, but we are where we are now, and who's to say that we wouldn't have guys like Connor McDavid now or Nathan McKinnon or those guys that are just so skilled and so fast, and they just benefit so much from the way the game is now. You would never want to see hockey without some of those guys. And so
100%.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it'd be a little different if you could hook McDavid from blue line to blue line. It'd be a little different.
Yeah. The game is just so different.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why you look at guys like Gretzky and Lemieux, and it's like, man, how do they get so many points when, you could literally, you could use your stick all the way down, but I guess that comes back to the enforcer, right? Because if you did do that, then you had Marty McSorley was there to
that, and the goalie equipment was this big, and they were all stand-up goalies. So it might have something to do with it.
Jordy would have scored a lot of goals back in the day.
I would have.
You'd have been a great goalie.
I would have been. No, but like for me, I like you used hybrid, but I felt like my first 2 years, we were all pretty small playing, and then my third year, they were still skilled, but they were huge. Yeah. So we talk about McDavid. McDavid's a giant though.
Yeah, he's thin, but he's probably 6'1".
Yeah, he's still, those are still pretty big guys. So I think it's hybrid. They're huge and they're skilled. So
yeah.
But that leads me to my next question. Who was probably the most skilled player you played with?
Most skilled player I played with? It probably had to be Sammy, right? I mean, Sammy was the guy could fly. He just had a knack for scoring goals. Just a super elite talent. On a side note, I got a little story about Sammy. So we're sitting in the hotel. I can't remember if it was a hotel or somebody's apartment, but there's probably 5 or 6 guys. We're all sitting around having a couple beers and just killing time. And Sammy wasn't feeling well. And when Sammy first moved here, he didn't know any English at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was he knew like 3 words. And so
last time I saw him was like a couple of years ago, and it still knew 3 words. Yeah. So what changed? I couldn't even talk to the guy.
He got it up to 10 words, Johnny, but then he left for a while, so now he's back down to 3. But anyway, we're all sitting around, and Sammy's not feeling well. He's got like a sore throat and everything, and he's calling the team doctor, and he was trying to ask us all, hey, what do you guys and so we told him a throat was an anus, and so he called the team doctor and said he had a sore anus. And we're all sitting around just dying. Gosh. Sammy has no clue what he just said, but it was welcome to America, Sammy.
Poor guy.
Oh no,
that's hilarious.
I love Sammy. When we got to play in that, what was that? It was like a alumni. Yeah. He was so nice to me and Jonathan, and he gave me his a custom made like mat for your skates. Yeah. Cool. To sit on. So I still have that. So shout out to Sammy.
He's a good guy, man. He still calls me, and I try to get a translator, but sometimes
I was about to say
we get out a few words and stuff.
Awful.
It's just text. You can probably figure out what I'm trying to say.
No, he was a cool dude. No, I miss those days, to be honest. Like, there's so many guys that came through the WPHL and the CHL, the Central Hockey League, like around here that like, man, like I could go on forever. Like, Mike Ramsey was a big favorite of mine. Like, I still talk to Mike, like great guy.
Kenny Krupp.
Yeah, well, we don't really speak. He deleted me off of Facebook for whatever reason. Oh. So, Kenny, if you ever watch this, what the heck, man? Sebastian, Dominic Lavalle.
Yeah, we've had so many. If you think about it, I mean, you look at the all-time list of players. I mean, we've had hundreds and hundreds.
Do you
of
remember
players
Josh Legg?
Legger,
one of the funniest
missing all his
guys
teeth.
I've ever met.
He was awesome.
He was a funny guy.
He's a better shot blocker than you, Jordy.
Well, being our age, we're so fortunate to have grown up.
Yes.
Around all these pro guys. I think it just helped with, in every way, when you're around professional athletes in any sport, you just soak in not only how they are on the ice, but how they act off the ice.
Yeah. Yes.
And I mean, guys, even to the training staff, like, I mean, we had great training staff, I thought, too, all the way up.
I mean, I was
guys
pretty
like Corby
fortunate. I got to travel with the team, and just like I had so much fun. Guys like who was the I'm drawing a blank, and that's like so like Josh Chase. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we already talked about like Sebastian and all those, but Joel Martin. Awesome. Like guys like that, just so much fun.
Juha Toivonen and
Garrett Grinke, like
Cercelli,
Colin Cercelli, like man, we had Brian. Like I would go on the road with these guys, kind of at the end, and they had Brian Ray. Yeah. Brian Ray's an announcer for the he does the TV.
Yeah, color.
Yeah,
no, he's not color guy. He might be. I don't know. Pre-game, post-game.
I don't know what those guys are called, but for the Dallas Stars, and it's like really still have cool. relationships with some of those guys, and a lot of them have moved on and they don't play anymore, obviously, but Sebastian had a good run, man. Like, he went for a long time. He was playing in Europe there at the end, and
he's probably the greatest minor league player, one of the greatest minor league players of all time.
Absolutely.
He was amazing.
Has to be.
He was amazing.
I got one of his sticks right there in the back there.
Oh, nice.
That's actually a Sherwood, but it's not a Sherwood. It's an Easton that they wrapped.
Well, we don't have to
talk about that.
Well, hey, the league's not even around anymore, so I don't give a crap. Like, that is some kind of Easton stick, and I have some funny stories about that kind of stuff. Like, you know, just the kind of funny stuff that would go on behind the scenes. I don't know, you guys got any other stories, any other questions or anything like that, or you guys got it all out there? What do you think?
I don't know.
I think so.
It's pretty good,
Johnny. It's been.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you so much for having us, Johnny. It's been a pleasure.
You guys know I say the same thing every time. You know, follow us, subscribe. We're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. So you guys listening, sharing it, liking, subscribing keeps this going, and it helps us out. So we really appreciate it. Again, this is episode 6 of the Chirp Hockey Podcast. We got Drew Rodgers, Jordan Voyles, Dan Lavergne. This has been great. This has been fun. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.